Okay, so I wanted to document uh, an uh, an event, uh, which is on a very monumental event that's on the road to the very massive, successful achievements that I am moving towards. and I also thought this would be a great opportunity to explain the technical indicators that go along with this bullseye system and pretty much our universal two roulettes. You apply these principles with any system, with any set of spins, and I just want to clarify all of the terms so that it makes sense. Okay, so first of all, what's happened? Well, let's just do a quick recap of what exactly happened. First of all, I had I took a little bit of risk and made a mistake. Actually broke a rule that hadn't been made yet. In fact, the rule was made because of the mistake that I made, where I actually bet into. I had a progression failure, okay, which is normal, right? But then we got into like this right here, 387 spins over expectation. I mean, this is like really nuts right here. This is this is anyway. That was the mistake I made. I'll explain it later, but I did that, and then I got hit with and kept going, with this incredible, terrible expectation, okay, and then got hit with a second event. So in other words, a black swan event, okay. So there's our black swan event. Got nailed on that puppy, okay. Recognized it as a black swan event. Went through and started virtual spinning, okay, to see if it was going to successively draw down, to hit me again with another loss before I could recover. And then I implemented and discovered the um, snapback betting within the Black Swan event, okay, which is very, very nice. And I made a video about it. And so then you can see that from that point on, I was tracking these black swan events. And with this progression, there's about one of them every 10 coups. Every 10 coups is statistically, on average, going to be a snapback event, which is very nice. And I was able to make inroads again on the debts while I was virtually spinning, because I was just what do you call it, cherry picking, if you will. I don't do that all the time. I just do it when I'm in the black swan event, which is very, very nice. That it moves the inclination up, which is good. I'll be talking about that as well, what inclination is. Okay, and so the Black Swan event ended after 51 coups. Okay, here is a situation where we're not in good shape. I mean, 210 spins greater than expectation means that we're getting way more hits than we should. Uh, but it's not two times as many. It's 210 spins as opposed to 170. Well, the progression is 171. So we want to kind of measure that versus the progression. In other words, the ability to handle the correction. Generally, a correction is going to be 50%. So the correction of 210 is going to be 210 divided by 2 is 105, right? So 105 spins is most likely going to be a correction for this statistical anomaly or statistic. And I'll talk more about that later. But anyway, so not the best. Okay. However, we do have some room here. We have 86 coups before progression losses due, so that's pretty nice. And this is still within playable range. It's not. I wouldn't consider it safe. I would consider it with playable. This is this is actually very good. This is only, I mean, the PLE, which is a progression loss event, is due every 101 spins. So you take 101 minus 86, okay, and you got 15. So we're only 15 spins in, okay, on the when this progression loss event is due, okay. So that's it gives me some confidence. So then what I said was, well, I'm going to watch this HS ratio. This is the hits to spins ratio. Now this addresses the very first technical indicator. Okay, it is the hits to spins ratio. It is based on expectation. Okay, our betting um, selection is one number. We bet one number. Okay, if you're betting a quad, you're betting four numbers. You know, if you're betting a dozen, you're betting 12 numbers. Pretty self-evident as to how that works. Our bet selection is one number. So how often is it expected that we should get a hit in uh, for that number? Well, it's going to be one number divided by 37. Why? Because there's 37 numbers in roulette. So 1 divided by 37, that's expectation. And that is going to equal 2.7%. And that's where your 2.7% comes from. And that's how you determine expectation. So when you have 106 spins, it's the same thing as 1. It's the same thing as 0. In other words, that's the expectation for to get a hit every spin. Okay. When you have multiple spins, like here we had 3,712 spins. Well, how many hits are expected in there? Okay, well that's simple. You take 3712, that's the total number of spins, divide that by 37. Okay, that's how many hits we should have. Why? Because we have a hit every 37 spins, right? So then that comes back as 100.32. So you can call that 100 or 101. Okay, we don't have 100 or 101. We have 106. Okay, and so that's going to be like right around 6 more spins, and you take 6 times 37. Okay, and you get your 222, which is, and then we round it off to make it easy, but that's right there. That's a few spins difference. What is that? 12 spins difference. So, but that's, you see, that's where we are greater than expectation. Greater than expectation means we have more hits than expected for 3,712 spins. So hopefully that's very clear. And that is what we call the HS ratio, because it's the hits, number of hits, to spins ratio. Okay, and that is our short-term indicator. As you see here, the last session I just got done with, we had 9 hits in 309 spins. Okay, so how did we do in this session? Well, what you do is you take 9 times 37. That's expectation. That's one hit for every 37 spins. So 9 times 37 equals 333. We had 309 spins, so that's 333 plus and 309 minus. We have 24 spins difference. Okay, now 24 spins less than expectation, which was expectation for 9 hits is, as you recall, is 333 spins, because 9 times 37 is 333. So 333 spins is expectation. We have our 9 hits in 309 spins. Okay, that's a difference of 24 spins. Okay, and that's why we are 24 spins greater than expectation in the hits to spins ratio, because we're measuring hits. In other words, we got more hits than expected. Okay, we were only supposed to have 8 hits at that time, but we have 9, and that's 24 spins. Okay, which is greater than expectation, because expectation for 9 hits is 333 spins. So hopefully that's all very clear. Okay, and if you just, feel free to ask if it's not clear, feel free to ask about it, but that's the concept. All right, so let's take a look, and you can see that I documented that we went from 28 to 4. Why? Because it's 24 spins against us. In other words, I call it against us because it makes the statistics worse. It makes it closer to expectation. In this case, we want to be farther from expectation, greater than. We want to be less than expectation. We want to have less hits than expectation, because the less hits we have, the greater chance for a, a correction in the opposite direction. So in other words, if we're not getting enough hits, obviously we know, right? There's a greater chance that we're going to start getting them. Okay, so that's why we're watching this indicator, this technical indicator, which is the HS ratio, the hits to spins ratio. Okay, and we just track it on every. You can track it on every session, and that's what this tracker does. It tracks the hits to spin ratio. Okay, that's the first technical indicator. So this is why I'm tracking it, because remember, let's go back now and look at our black swan events. Okay, black swan event occurred here, and remember what happened. Our hits to spin ratio was a monstrous 350 spins over expectation when it hit. Yeah, yeah, that's terrible. Our progression is only 171 spins. Okay, so I mean that's this was terrible. This was actually, it was 350 spins less than expectation. It says here over. That's whatever. I mean, it's so easy to get confused on over and under as to what you're referring to. But in this case, we had 350 spins. We had more hits. Here it is, right here. Here, I can show you. What this is, the HS ratio right here. Hits to spins. So what do? We take 71 times 37. That's expectation for 71 hits. We get 2627. Well, we don't have 2627. Okay, we have 2227. 2277. Okay, so then we take that and subtract 2277 minus. Now we're at 350. See, that's exactly what we were saying. Now it's not over expectation. It's actually supposed to be less. Wait a minute. Greater than expectation. Yeah, it's 350 spins greater than what was expected. Uh, no, it's wrong. See how easy it is. But it's 350 spins less than expectation. In other words, we only had 2277 spins instead of 2627. Okay, so that's why it's 350 spins less than expectation, which means the odds are not in our favor for it to continue, which is again connected to this black swan event, this PLE. Okay, which is a progression loss event. Okay, and with this progression that I'm using, the progression loss event's 101 coups, every 101 coups. Okay, but see, here's another concept that's really important to get a hold of. When I first played this system, I was very focused on the expectation, the H to S, the HS ratio that we have been discussing. Okay, and I didn't understand about uh, the overarching statistic. Like, if those of you have traded before, you'll know in commodities, if you've studied commodities, that there is uh, monthly charts and yearly charts. They're two different things. And yearly charts are made up of monthly charts, but it's a longer term view. Okay, so and everybody knows, if you study trading in depth, you'll discover that the monthly charts can be traded technically, which is what we're doing here with the HS ratio, but there's also the yearly technicals, which are the overarching governing technicals. And I wasn't doing that when I first played this system. I was just focusing on the monthlies. And you can get lost in monthly statistics and not even realize that you've crossed a barrier on the yearlies and not even know that you're crossing a statistical line. Okay, and you're putting yourself in danger because the yearly statistics are applying as the governing force on the monthlies. You see, and that's what. And so, what is it? How does it apply here? Well, it is our progression loss event, the PLE event. You do the PLE is done statistically using these parabola percentages. In tan, the parabola percentages, which are, it starts at 2.7% for the first spin, and then it goes all the way out to the 99 points. Let's see, right here. It's going to be right here. Ugh, no. I can't believe they go all the way up here, really? No, it can't be. I must have missed it. No, anyway, here. Not there it is. Parabola figure. 99.09% by the time you get to the last bet. Okay, that's the parabola figure. So the parabola figures determine how often we have a progression loss event. This is every 101 spins. Okay, that's how that equates. Every 101 spins will have a progression loss event. That's how we determine that. That's the equivalent of the yearly indicators for statistics, the highs and lows over a year period, which is 12 months. Okay, but so this is what we do. We count the coups to figure out where we are on the progression loss event statistics, which govern the HS ratio. The HS ratio is 60 hits, 2501 spins. Okay, and you can see that I start tracking that statistic. I'm tracking it here um, in parenthesis. These are the number of coups right here. And I'm starting to count the coups because they're due every 101 spins. Okay, and I'm also counting the coups here. I'm counting how many coups in this recovery, not overall, but how many coups in the recovery. Well, we have four. One, two, three, four. Four coups, 11. Because why? Because when I hit 51 coups, I want to be out of here. In other words, I don't want, it's due 101. Well, I figure to be statistically safe, let's just go to halfway and stop. Why make it over 50%? Why do it? There's no need to do that. To go over 50%. I mean, you can. I mean, heck, why not go 75% if you feel comfortable with it? But the problem is like, you know, if see, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then we take this and we fill it. Hey, stupid mouse. Gosh, golly jeepers. Okay, we're gonna fill this with green. Okay, so here is our oops, yeah, here is 10 um this represents 100%. Okay, so this is 100. This will represent like 101 spins. Okay, now what I'm saying is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm saying cut it off. Um, let's see here. Fill with the black here or here. Okay, here or here. Don't go all the way up here. Okay, because I'm saying that this right here is statistically, hey, that was, let's see here, not in our favor. Okay, because why? I mean, here we have one, okay, 10%. This is chance of failure. Okay, and then we have 20%, right? 2 out of 10. All right, and then we have 30%, and then we have 40%. Okay, now right here we're at 50%. Why continue beyond 50%? Why push it? Why make it so that it's now only 40%? Why do that? Now and then what? Now we're at 30%. Okay, and then we're at 20%. Okay, and then we're at 10%, and then we're down to 0%. Now, now remember, this is expectation. Now, this is not a certainty. Obviously, we have variance. Okay, but this is the the basis and the reasoning behind when I stop pushing on recovery. Okay, and I'll come back to this in a second, but yeah, just let me get it off the screen so I can show you again what I'm talking about and then come back to it. Okay, here is a progression loss event, a PLE. Okay, and so I go, all right, let's go to level 2. Okay, and here is the HS ratio. No, sorry. This is the PLE ratio. This is the progression loss event ratio, which is one progression loss event in 132 coups. Okay, and I say versus 101 progression loss event and 101 coups. So you see now I'm referencing not the HS ratio, but the PLE ratio. This is like the yearly charts in commodities trading that's made up of the monthlies, okay? This is the governing force over the your individual sessions. Okay, your HS ratio is governed by the PLE ratio. Okay, so what am I saying here when I say it's not too badly overdue? 1 to 132 versus 1 to 101. Well, I'm saying that a progression loss event is due one time every 101 coups, and what we have here is one time in 132 coups. Well, okay, that means that we we got a little bit of benefit there. We got a little bit of cheating the statistics. We got a little bit better than expectation, which is not good. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't really want to be to cut a statistical profile that needs to be corrected. Okay, we want to stay within bounds so we don't have to worry about major corrections that are against statistics, that are statistically rare. We don't want statistically rare corrections. So what did we do? We went 30%. We went 29 spins beyond when it's due. It's due at 101. It was due right here. And we went all the way down to here before it finally hit. Okay, so you see it finally did hit, and it hit here at 132 coups. You count the coups, it's a total of 132. All right, so what does this mean? Well, it means that the odds are a little bit slightly against us, for another one to occur. And that's why we're monitoring this, because we want to know statistically what's the likelihood of a second progression event occurring. Okay, progression loss event, a PLE. All right, so 51 coups once again represents 101. Okay, divided by 2. Okay, equals 50.5, and I'm just being a little bit generous and going to 51, so that way we're not like being wimps about it. We'll go an extra coup. Okay, so 51 coups. Now realize something, that if we go to 51 coups, we're not at 51 percent. We're not here or here even, but we actually are going to be a little bit more than that. Okay, and this is a very important concept to realize. Because why? Because we started out at 132. So if we take 132 plus 51, okay, so 132 plus 51, okay, is 183. Okay, so that means that instead of being right here, which is where I'm suggesting that we stop at, okay, we're actually going to be here and here. Okay, do you see that? Okay, now this is expectation. I mean, granted, this is expectation right here. Okay, so I have it in red and everything. But that's what's expected. This is the 101 spins, if you will. Okay, and so we're here and here. Okay, because we've already come up 32 spins inward. I hope you see all that. Okay, that is what's called the progression loss event, the PLE ratio. Okay, that's the concept behind it. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Be happy to explain it. But you can see how I'm tracking all of this, and I'm recommending. I'm actually recommending 51, which is 1/2, as a general rule. Okay. That's okay. And then let's see what if we can explain anything in here. This is a comment about the H to S ratio, the hits to spin ratio, and this is a short-term trend that I've noticed. 27 hits in the last 915 spins. That's the hits to spins ratio, HS ratio. Okay, and you do the math, it should be 999 spins. Okay, but we only have 915. Okay, that's an 84 spin difference, so that raises some eyebrows. It's still less than the progression length, so a normal correction on this is generally 50%, so it's probably 42 spins. So it's not anything to seriously worry about yet, but I am a little bit overreacting in this particular post. And but I have that's what you have a progression for. Okay, yeah, it is scary. Yeah, it is significant, but we have a progression of 171 bets. Okay, so that's why it's not quite as significant as I make it out to be. But it's not. I'm not happy about it. Why would we want to be 84 spins against us? I mean, in other words, why would we, you know what I mean? It's like this because these spins have to be corrected, okay? These 84 spins have to be corrected. If you put a little statistical oomph behind it, and it might turn into it's a greater chance of it being an LSE because of this statistical status. I hope you're following my logic there. Okay, so we want really around zero. We want to hover around zero and continue to rack up profit and not, you know what I mean? What they say, have a low profile. You know, don't make the law come down on you. Have a low profile, and that's kind of what we want. And this is an ostentatious, like if you rob a bank. That's a really good analogy. If you rob a bank and you go out and you buy $84,000 worth of merchandise all of a sudden that pops up in your front yard, you know, that's not a really good thing to do because it draws attention. This draws statistical attention to what we're doing, you see. And so statistical correction is like the correctional facility is, due. So it's not happy time, but you know, we can handle this. So we can handle this level of pressure. We have the cops on our payroll, you know, a little bit. So we can, you know, we're okay, kind of, but not happy. We're not pleased. So anyway, let's see. And I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to spin on, expecting a long series of spins. A correction, yeah, maybe a 40 spins in correction. It's not a big deal. We have a progression of 170, so 171. All right, so now, okay, now what are we looking at? Yeah. This is significant. At this point, we are very significant. We're 193 spins, okay? Because why? The HS ratio, since this is review at this point, right? It's 34 hits in 1,065 spins instead of 1258. Now, this is a serious event. This is something that I'm willing to back off on. In other words, I'm willing to say at this point that let's take a let's what are we're at 2 units right now. Okay, let's go back down to 1 unit and let's just hunker down and just see what happens. Let's monitor the statistics and figure out a time to come back. We're also at 33 coups and 163. Okay, and this is the decision I actually made. I actually did make that decision, as it turns out, and I said it's just not worth the risk. Okay, because we have the expectation from the loss progression event to the present coup event. Now, this expectation that I'm talking about here is the HS ratio, which is um, this ratio 34 hits to 165 1065. That HS ratio is this first number one expectation. Okay, and oh no, I'm sorry, it's the opposite. This number two is the HS ratio, spins below expectation in an amount that's greater than the length of the progression. The progression is 171, we're 193. Okay, so I noticed I was conservative here. See, I was conservative. I said, okay, we're greater than the progression length. Let's cut this off. This number one is progression loss event. So this is the PLE ratio. Okay. Um, yeah, this is the present coup event. Okay, so here we are. 62 coups towards a progression loss. It's due in 49 coups. Well, 62 to 49. Okay, so what's that? 62 to 49 is right about here. 62 to 49. Yeah, it's like right there. So we're in the red, you know, we're in this area right here where we're on the right side of things. Okay, I'm pointing with my finger but you can't see, but it's on the right hand instead of the left hand. We kind of want to be here, you know, at the most we don't want to go here if we can avoid it. You know, we don't want to be here. Okay, and if we have our chips raised, you know, being here maybe is a good time to unraise them, you know. I'm just saying, let's cut a favorable statistical profile, shall we? Let's not make the statistics, you know, any worse than we have to. So I hope that's clear. And I backed off. And as it turns out, I didn't, I wasn't too far off, but we could have stayed, but it's better to err on the side of caution. And so let's see. Here's we recovered fine. Everything went fine. Okay, everything's going great. All right, here's where we start having problems. So this is excellent. Above expectation. That's what we want. Above expectation. That's the HS ratio. That's exactly what we want. Spins to hits ratio. Uh, let's see what happened here. We got hit with a progression loss event. Okay, no problem. Um, and what happens? We have 3 and 299. Um, Slightly over expectation. So this is good. This means the HS ratio. I'm sorry, the PLE ratio. This is the progression loss event ratio, is slightly over expectation because why? Three progression losses should occur in 101 times 3, which is 303. But we're at 299. So you see we're a little bit better. So that's like a clean slate. I made a video about that right up here. I think I did, or maybe not. Anyway, I do mention this in the video. And let's see, what is this? 92 spins ahead of expectation. Oh yeah, this is tracking the HS ratio. Okay, so from this event, from here. We're tracking the ratio. Well, I don't have it printed out here, but I'm tracking it, and I'm saying that um, we're not so hot actually. We're at 92 spins. We've got a lot of good hits, that were early, and 92 spins. This means we had more hits than expected by 92 spins, the HS ratio. So this is not it's not like super dangerous, but we're not happy about this. It's not a happy time about it. But I'm saying we are only at 17 coups towards a second PLE. Okay, why? 317. It's due. Actually, it's 16 because it's 303. It's 14 actually, not 17 coups. It's 14. I did a little estimation on that for convenience. So I'm saying, well, okay, even though we're 92 spins ahead, got more hits by 92 spins, I'm going to keep going because we're still early on the HSE. I'm sorry. We're still early on the PLE ratio. The PLE ratio. Okay, and so I'm saying this 92 spins is gonna correct by 45 spins, 47, 46 spins. It's gonna end within itself. It's gonna correct itself and not manifest in a PLE because this PLE ratio is still very young, which is 303. Okay, so and that's what I'm saying, and that's why I continue. And everything looks good here. We're above expectation on the PLE. This is, wait a minute, greater than expectation? No, this is not good. Yeah, all of these, greater than expectation is not good. Okay, now we're 141, now we're 214, now we're 295. This is insanity right here. 295, 171, times 2 is like 342. So this is like getting close to insane at this point. Wow, and I don't even, yeah, this is what I talk about as the medium expectation. I actually am going to call this now, forget calling it medium, we'll just call it short term. The HS ratio is a short term ratio. And I'm not concerned. Well, that's pretty stupid of me. This is me learning about how this all works. Okay, and I'm saying we have favorable PLE percentage. Well, not as favorable as you think, because if our short-term expectation is so far out of whack, chances are this PLE ratio is out of whack too, and we're about to get nailed. Okay, and so my thinking is incorrect here. So just pointing that out. And let's see what else is going on. Okay, so I continue. It gets worse. We're now way worse. Okay, check these two figures. Now we're in danger. This is a danger zone. This is where no. You stop. Okay, this is you. You either go virtual. You either treat it like a black swan event, or you go back down to one unit. You unraise your chips, but you do not keep going like this. That is insanity because we're way. A PLE is a progression loss event is totally due. Totally do. And what do I say? Oh, well, actually, it did hit. This is a PLE event. This line is a PLE event. So, okay, well, I guess you see how that works. So I go down to level 3, and then I get hit again, and then we go Black Swan. So get hit right here. Okay, and I've now scrapped this back. Okay, from 73.29, got our hits, our snapback hits. These are snapback hits. All right, and then I went in and I had some favorable statistics, and I did something really special here, and I'm going to show you another a way that a little move that I did. Okay. Um, all right, so the Black Swan event ended. We had 51 coups. We're not so hot. We're at 210 spins, but at least it's less than double. We have a nice this PLE in 86 coups is nice. So I'm saying, all right, we're favorable here. Uh, we're close to insane here, but not yet there. So I'm going to watch this closely. I'm going to watch this H hits to spins ratio closely to see if it goes into Nutsville. And it does. I'm stopping immediately. Okay. But I'm going to, again, proceed with the PLE being early. It's only 14 hits or so, inward on it. And so I'm going to take a few hits. Okay. And I'm going to stop when we get to 51 coups. Right now we're at see 101 plus 86 minus. So right now we're 15 coups in, and I'm going to stop at 51 coups. So that means I'm going to take about 40 coups. All right, and that's what I did here. Took about 40 coups. All right, and here, I mean, we're still screwed up. I mean, look, we never do correct on the HS ratio. Okay, so we're still in danger zone, but it's not that bad. I mean, this is actually not bad. It's not happy time, but it's not insane either. Okay, and then I just said, look, we got a total of 51 coups. Okay, we're already plus 15 coups. Okay, so that means we're already here, basically. Okay, to start with, instead of being here, we're automatically here. We're automatically here or over here, whatever. And so we've kind of, so this means 1, 2, 3. We're here. Is that right? Yeah, about here or here, somewhere in here. So now let's just cut this off right now. Let's not go any further into this area. Okay, and that's conservative, and that makes a lot of sense. So that's what I did. So I said, here's what I call that, soaking up a loss like a sponge. So I'm going to call it the sponge technique. Okay, what we're doing is we're lowering our chips back down to level 1 so we can take a hit at level 1, okay, and then raise back up again, okay. And as amazing enough, look what happened. Right here we took our loss, our PLE. Okay, so that's pretty good. It was, using expectation and being conservative, using statistics to limit our exposure. We took a hit at level 1 just like we wanted. Okay, and so now we have favorable statistics. The statistics have changed, and so what I do is, we just have this is the most favorable statistics you can have is when you have a PLE, because you have a double snapback event that hits right there. Just the fact that we have this loss means that I can now bet 5 units on the first coup, and I did, and I got 135. Okay, second coup, same thing. We just got a hit that was in excess of the progression. So yeah, that's another one. 85 on my second. So that was the result of the betting 5 units. Okay, and so then we move forward, and let's see what the statistics were at the time of the event. Okay, so this is, wow. So this is 5 and 459. So we're talking about the PLE ratio here. The PLE. We're supposed to be at. We're supposed to be at 4. We're only supposed to have 4 progression losses at this time, but now we have 5. And the fifth loss is the fifth progression loss, the PLE, is due at 505 spins. That's 101 times 5. So we're only at 459. That's 46 coups greater than expectation, which means that's way in our favor. That makes it way more likely that we're going to be able to continue on without another progression loss. In other words, without a black swan event. Okay, but however, I said what? The PLE inclination is clearly still downward. Well, why did I say that? Because this hit before it got to 505. So that means that they're hitting more frequently. On average, we're getting more hits than expected. It's hitting more frequently, so that's why I say the inclination is down. That means we're still in a downtrend, basically. We're getting hits too frequently. Even though we may be scalping profit and coming out ahead, we're still in a downward inclination. So that's something to be aware of. Okay. And however, our HS ratio, the hits to spin ratio, is now 35 spins less than expectation. Now that's a positive thing right there. That's less than expectation, and that's exactly what we're looking for. That means we have more spins than hits, which is great. Okay, and that's why I say the hit spin ratio is now completely rectified and reversed. That makes it a much more healthy statistical environment. We're also very healthy here on the PLE ratio, which makes this incredibly healthy. It's an incredibly healthy statistical environment. And I just went to town on it. And I went from 59.12 all the way down to only 13.01. So I really went to town on this. We remained less than expectation the whole time, except for 2 times in here we were slightly greater than expectation, and then it corrected, and now we're right about at expectation. But so why did I stop? Well, I stopped because of another indicator, and this is the final indicator I'll be discussing. It's what I would call the movement indicator, okay, the progression movement indicator, so the PMI, if you will. It hurts like PMS. No, I don't know. But anyway, PMI is the progression. Progression loss. PLM is the progression loss movement indicator. Okay, and the progression loss movement indicator shows that we were at 455, 456, 457, 458, 458, 459. Okay, so we were at 459 coups. All right, and then that's how we started. So 400. Let's see. 459 is where we started. When we ended, in other words, right here at 515, there it is, 56. So catch what's going on here. We're only at 515 coups. We have only 5 progression losses. So that's 14 coups inward only. 14 coups inward is only right here. This is like really healthy, like right now. In other words, I could take more coups from here to here to here, even here, and I have all this empty area, right, to take coups in, because we're only like right here. All right, so then why did I stop? It's like I should be like totally going for it, right? Okay, well, that's where we have the progression loss movement indicator, the PLM. Okay, because we've gone 56 coups. Aha, because why? We started less than expectation. So if you want to be conservative, I'm not saying that we have to do this, but it's the first indicator. In other words, if you look at all the indicators, if you're looking for an excuse to end a session, and you look at all the indicators, it's the first one that's popped up to give me an excuse to quit raising. Okay, and that's good enough for me. I've gained so much. I'm down to